Okay, I'm showing 6 o'clock, so go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll do the flag. Show that everybody's here except for Ken. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry. Okay. First item of business is to approve the agenda. Is there any additions or changes anybody wants to make? Seeing none, look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Chris, second? Dustin, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-0. Citizens open forum. Is there anybody signed up to sign or talk?
Nope.
Okay, moving right along. Recognitions and presentations. First thing we're going to do is recognize the Impact Award winner. Clark.
Just a reminder that each quarter we recognize an Impact Award winner. At the end of the year, that means we have 4 of them, and one of them becomes the Employee of the Year. I'll share a little bit about our Employees of the Year here later in the meeting, but presently we want to talk about the first quarter Impact Award winner. We have Mindy Barger and her husband with us tonight. I'm sure he's probably taking her out for dinner as we finish as a reward type of deal. But I'm very privileged to get to share some information about what was shared on Mrs. Barger's behalf. I think Mrs. Barger and I came the same year. I think she's in year 7 as our language arts teacher at the high school. Current member of our district leadership team and our high school reading team. I might share this. This is the first time this has happened. As part of her nomination, Mrs. Barger received 4 handwritten student letters. 1 student from each class that is in our high school currently. So that was kind of a neat thing. And some nice things to say from those, but that really wasn't part of the nomination. That was kind of separate, but I thought that was a nice addition. I'll share some of the nomination information that come across. Mrs. Barger is a consistent role model for everyone around her. She loves and works hard for all kids and co-workers around her. She has a positive impact on all she crosses paths with. One of the student comments was, Mrs. Barger is always there when you need her. If you're ever down or need a shoulder to cry on, she will always be available. Her energy can bring you up no matter what. I can say that's true. A lot of energy there. She continually pushes us to do our best while we are also having fun. I think that can't come up with a better statement about a classroom than that. Mrs. Barger is so many teachers and students' go-to person. She has the ability to listen to others and then offer advice as well pour into their lives. Mrs. Barger has worked her tail off for our school and district to implement for the implementation of MTSS. Mrs. Barger is one of the high school representatives for the district leadership team and the MTSS reading team. She has been a past volleyball coach and still is connected to the program by working home events. Just wanted to say that that's part of the nomination. I would say this on behalf of Mindy. I think it was kind of my idea to name this the Impact Award. I think impact is really just a descriptor for Mindy generally. Besides being maybe one of the most energetic and bubbly personalities I think I've ever met in my life, she is a major social emotional student supporter. They trust her and love her over at the high school. So we're very happy and proud to recognize you as our first quarter Impact Award winner. And they'll make a presentation.
Thank you. What do I do?
Impact Award winner. For those go above and beyond for USD 312.
Thank you. You guys tonight.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
And also something from the Education Foundation goes along with that.
Thank
too.
you.
So
Thank
now you get to speak.
And I would be the first thing, I typically tell them ahead of time that we're gonna ask you.
Did it? You
I
did
didn't
it.
have
You
to tell
sold me
her, but I
out.
knew she would want to.
Oh, I am so grateful. This is an honor, and to hear that this was partially student led too. That's huge, because that's my heartbeat is for the kids, and I happen to be fortunate to work with colleagues that are as passionate about student development and love. So I just happen to be. I think there's so many people in our district who deserve this too. So they have the same descriptions. I just got lucky with whoever nominated me. So thank you. This is really nice, and I feel validated. I feel like I truly love my job. I do. I love the kids. My husband and I don't have kids of our own, and we knew that God was calling us to work in service areas where we could try to influence kids in a positive way. And so they really, truly become my own kids, and I don't have to take them home though, so that's really nice. Thank you for this. Thank you. Thank you.
And second part of this is what's going well.
Mindy, you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like and leave as soon as you'd like.
Or just go have dinner now.
So, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but there's been a few negatives that have come around to the school board in the last couple of years, maybe. And so I went to a superintendent council a while back, and our chair said, let's start with tell me something good. And so I kind of asked our administrators to say, let's come up with just some positives to share the board. I think we've all kind of heard enough negatives, so we wanted to start the meeting out tonight with some positives. So I've asked them to share from their building some of the things that might be positives. Let me see if I can get this to the full screen. Right.
It says present.
It says present.
There we go. So we're going to start with Haven Virtual. Carol, it looks like you get to go first.
All right, so of course, our kids don't meet. They're online just with their teacher. So one of the things they do to build relationships is they go to the state fair. They did not get to go last year, so they did go this year. And we had families all the way from Topeka that came out and went to the fair together. So we served kids all across Kansas. They had 13 families come, so that was a really good turnout for them, and they had a good time. And next is our preschool. So we've got pretend play going up on that left-hand side. We've got fine motor skills happening. Map Man is something that happens with our 3 and 4-year-olds. This is where they're beginning to learn shapes and how to draw shapes so that they can start writing their names. We've got alphabet practice, some problem solving with blocks, and then this little one's just playing with Mr. Potato Head. So they're doing a really good job of meeting those preschool skills and having a good time over there.
And we'll keep moving on to Haven Grade.
It was really hard. I asked my staff to send me some pictures, and this is the kind of the first group of pictures I got. And after that, it just kept coming. I have an overwhelming amount of wonderful things happening at Haven Grade. This just kind of is a few some kind of cool things that have been happening. We had Fire Safety Day, and we had the fire department come to us. We also were able to host the DARE student teachers. The trainer for DARE is from North Carolina. We were able to host all these different officers in our building for a day for the DARE program, which Officer Hayden runs. And we have Bob. Bob's the guy in the middle. I don't know if you guys can see him. This has been a little project of one of our 5th grade teachers, and he ran this big giant stuffed animal randomly shows up doing different things and participating in lessons, and it's pretty funny to watch Bob's journeys throughout the day. We celebrated Mrs. Green. She turned 80, and she's one of our paras. It was a great time. The kids all made cards for her. She had no idea. It was pretty awesome. And just some other fun things that have been happening. We also had our Halloween parade downtown and back, and we had some candy stops along the way, and we had a wonderful police escort. So we have a lot of really awesome things going on at the grade school, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, some great things happening at Haven Middle School. We'll start up at the top there. The collaboration of the staff has just been phenomenal this year. They're just all working in sync and with our MTSS process, and it's just been amazing to see them really get our groups going and everything that we're doing there. Moving over here to our lead-worthy class, Mrs. Roper teaches this lead-worthy class, and right now there's just a small handful of kids in there, but I'm hoping to see that grow, and I've been so impressed with these kids and Mrs. Roper and some of the things that they've done. So this event was the Miracle Minute, where they are raising money for the Kansas Honor Flight to send 2 veterans, and so they're still in the process of that, but they had a good time, did a wonderful job doing that, and some other things. Also, some of you may have seen the Think Before You Post assembly. They organized that for the 7-12 group, which was great. Moving down to the bottom left, having a full-time counselor in our building has just been awesome. Love it. Ms. Whittick, our new counselor, has done amazing things helping kids out with social emotional learning. It's so nice to be able to be able to tell a kid, yeah, we can get you an appointment right now with the counselor, instead of, hey, can you wait until tomorrow when the counselor's back? Like, it's just, some kids can't wait. So that's been really good. And then just having some normalcy, some teamwork, our schedule, activities, just those things have been so awesome around the middle school. Kind of getting back post-COVID, hopefully here. And our football team had a great year, as well as our 8th grade volleyball team. And go to charter school. Yes, thank you there. Thought I fell asleep. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. We'll go bottom left down here. Some cool things have been going on. Kind of some normalcy again. A redesign and partnership. So on the bottom left, we had our ice cream social, pretty good events. We'll have our Thanksgiving dinner coming up as well. The next picture there with me and the kids, we got a partnership with Bullseye where the kids earn Tiger trait cards, and so anyways, getting back to just being able to do some of those redesign things where we kind of put on the back burner last year because we were supposed to stay away from everybody and not get out and do things. So it's awesome to be able to embark on those redesign opportunities again. Also, the collaboration at MTSS up at the top right there with the Yoder Charter staff. They do amazing things there, just like the middle school. We have our groups going, everything's just running really, really well. They're collaborating just awesome. And sometimes, I hate to say it, don't take this the wrong way, but it almost runs better without me being there. They do just such an amazing job. So. And then also getting back to kind of some normalcy down here with some field trips. Took a building-wide field trip to the Peanut Pumpkin Race. The kids loved it. And they had something available there for kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. Every kid had a great time there. So again, getting back to that normalcy and just having fun at school and learning.
Well, there was an argument as to whose this was. The building, it is in the high school building, but district, you guys made this all happen. So wanted to share a picture of our auditorium. We are nearing completion. It is not complete yet. So this was a picture of the new seats with some new panels on the back. And if I go to this one, you can see the brighter colors on the side. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but there's still some flooring to complete. hoping to get some chairs adjusted a little bit, but maybe some locks on the doors yet, but we're getting close. There was a time that I wasn't sure when it's going to happen. So. And then here's a couple of pictures of the wrestling facility, and it's already begun to be used. And I have them in my report a little bit later to talk about how do we have an open house? Do we have a board meeting? How do we kind of get a chance to show it off a little bit? Second picture of that on the back, the other wall of that. So you see the padding along the walls on the side. You can see the new mat that actually sits on top of the old mat. But we've got a much a nice looking facility in our basement there.
Kind of have a couple different slides here with multiple pictures. As Laurel said, I asked my staff to send me pictures, and it was overwhelming. And I could have easily had 100 slides, and we could have looked at pictures all day. Make a Difference Day was on October 6th. Dr. Moore kind of organized that, but the entire staff was involved, and we got a lot of service projects done, both around the district, the grade school, the high school, here in town. We even had some students go to different communities and help out with like Habitat for Humanity. Pretty cool. We got, in the new gym, if you've ever been in that hallway, we have all the plaques of all the athletics. There have been boxes and boxes and boxes of music plaques, band, choir, orchestra, things like that. And one of the things I wanted them to do is be able to take pride in those rather than just have them put in a box every year when they win them. So now in the music hallway, which is right on the side of our auditorium, if we do an open house, maybe we can show you guys. We have all those plaques displayed. Had some kids go over to the grade school, paint some different things on the side of the gym there. Next one. Had some upperclassmen go to Habitat for Humanity and help build a house. And they actually, when they got there, they're like, well, we don't think you're able to get much done. And they well exceeded the expectations of the group there, and got quite a bit done, actually more than was expected. Got some cleanup going on around town here, cleaning up curbs, doing some painting, things like that. And there's just more. The front of the high school looks great. All the parking lot's all painted too, so kids did that. Bite of Reality, and some of you were a part of this as well, was October 20th, and was an opportunity for sophomores it was hosted by Heartland Credit Union, and gave them a chance to make some real life budgeting decision making. And I think our students need that, and they really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. I heard them talk about it for days after this was over, so thank you to a couple of you who helped out with that.
Too many Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
Too many started with the Lambo. They bit them.
And then another outstanding event that we just had last week was our career fair. We had, 60 to 70 presenters come, and kids signed up, did a survey weeks in advance, and got to pick 5 different sessions that they wanted to go to and experience. We had, and you can see in my board report, I kind of listed some of them there. You name it, we had it. There was military, there was agriculture, there was industry, there was marketing, there was computers, aerospace. I mean, we had everything, and just took some pictures here of, I think we got some nursing, some electricians, some mental health going on there as well. So. And same thing, we had some agriculture, we had Queen Bee come, Hutchinson Zoo came, they brought a skunk. You can't see it in that picture real well, but they did bring a skunk. The kids, they were rushed, so the kids didn't get to pet it. They were pretty disappointed, but yeah, this was an excellent event, and we just love having it. And the kids again love the opportunity to see all of these different things that they didn't know was available. So, and then as Mr. Atherton said, we kind of were. I don't know if you knew this, we were competing to see who put the pictures in of it, but middle school can take responsibility for this. The Think Before You Post with, what's his last name? Coupling from Sports in Kansas, presented to the students last week as well, about making good choices before you post on social media. And it was very beneficial The entire middle school and high school is there, and I think they got a lot out of them. So. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this one. Rise Up Reno is a new club that we have here at the high school, and it's about helping kids make good choices, in particular in the not smoking and not doing drugs and those types of things. They went over to the grade school during Red Ribbon Week, and we're in Mr. Hett's classroom and helped and played some games and talked about healthy living and making good choices. So.
I think I sent this in an update to you, but I don't know if this has happened in this district. First time in my 7 years, our district made a nominee to the Kansas Teacher of the Year. And if you remember, you may not remember, some of you weren't on the board, but 2 years ago, Kim Utze was our Employee of the Year. And then Rachel Kelly was last year, so we've made 2 state level nominations. So these will be sent out here in the next day or two. So Kim Utze for Kansas Teacher of the Year and Rachel Kelly for Kansas Counselor of the Year. So both received our Employee of the Year, but we're very excited to see how they may do at the state level. And so this is just a little promotional media release that we'll be doing here in the next few days, announcing those nominees. And that is what's going well in USD 312. I think the biggest beauty of it is, and Shannon said it, normalcy. We're seeing many things back in place that hadn't been in place, so we're kind of excited for that.
Good to hear. All right, we'll move forward to the consent agenda, the financial report and warrants. Danelle?
Our ending cash for the month is $4,646,410.06. That was October 21st, 2021, Our expenditures was $1,277,039.81. Payroll, $421,947.54. Transfers, $180,709. Warrants, $674,383.27. Checks that were over $10,000. Apple, $40,800. iPads, that was part of our ESSER money. Benny Keith, $26,382.06. Food service. MKC, $10,931.51. Fuel. Kansas contract design, $71,261.10. That is for the auditorium seating, and that is part of the renovation cost. Kansas truck, $118,693.70 was for 2 minibuses and parts.
Further questions? The principal and director of written reports are in your drive. You should have a chance to read them by now. Any questions for those folks? Okay. Superintendent report, Clark.
Yeah, just a reminder, I gave you a little update on the auditorium. We're coming along there. We haven't had a final completion punch list in yet, but I know we got some flooring to get in there yet. I want to give you a little testing update. This was as of, I'm talking about our in-house testing. As of November 3rd, we had done 703 total tests with 8 positives, which is 1%. So we thought those were pretty good numbers. Highest number in a day was in the mid-60s, and as of last week, we were in the mid-20s. We'll give a little more update on that. Our numbers are going to go up after today. So. Property insurance. I don't think this is going to be new for you, but I think the board had asked us to look into bidding that. If you remember, our previous provider, who has now kind of changed their name to ProValue, is interested in bidding on property insurance again. And what we learned was our current provider, which is Gallagher, and it's a CERP, Kansas Educational Risk Management Pool, they require a 6-month notice. And so for us to bid that, we have to let them know by the end of December. We've contacted them and told them we intend to do that. So the coverage actually, nothing would change until July 1. That's our renewal date. So I just want to make sure you guys were still on board with us bidding that out. We'll certainly have at least 2 bids, and I'll check here locally with our company in town to see whether they would like to do that as well. So could have 3. In your drive, I put 2, if you want to continue to be confused about authority, I put in 2 letters in your drive. One was from a county commissioner, and one was a response from a KSB attorney. But it still leaves us, I would say, in a gray area, and it was talking about quarantines and really the authority of the county health department. If I would kind of summarize it for you, the letter from the commissioner talks about the school board having ultimate authority. KSB attorney, that was Angie Stahlbomber, says we don't agree with that. We think the health department still has some of that authority. But this isn't a new concept that I'm sharing here with you, in that it's been this way for quite a while. Depends on which attorney you talk to determines who the authority lies with. But I did want you to know that actually the county commission asked me to share that letter with you. They didn't ask me to share the KSB response. That was something I did on my own. But any questions about? I don't have the answer for you, other than there's a difference of opinion on that.
What's new?
Board elections, they still call them unofficial, but as you may have seen, if you go by board or election results, that would be Ken Nisley retaining his position, and then Ryan Blueball and Dorby Borntrager winning with, like I said, unofficial results. I think there's some canvassing that's going to happen yet, but it certainly looks that way. Lastly, I mentioned it earlier, we talked about, I remember you guys talked about our auditorium and wrestling room and the potential of an open house, and I would say we're getting close to being prepared to do that. I'd like for the auditorium to be completed before we did that. Would you like an open house, or would you like to have a board meeting over there? How would you like to handle that?
How big a deal is to have a board meeting over there?
We did it for a long
year.
time.
I know that's what
Yeah.
it is, so if it's not that big a deal, let's just do that.
Okay,
December meeting, have it there.
that'd be great. And we can also advertise it as, a lot of people would probably like to come to the board meeting, so. It's open at this time for anybody that would like to see it or something like that.
No, you gotta be there by 6 if you wanna, you gotta sit through the whole meeting.
You want the tours at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, very.
All right, that's what I had on my report for tonight.
Okay. On to verbal report for social emotional data.
We have Mrs. Cooperator here tonight, and she wanted to hook up, and I wouldn't quite let her yet until I had done my part. So.
Well, that's good. You have lots of pictures. I have 0. I have lots of numbers. Okay. Is it okay if I present back here, or do I need to go with it?
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm here on behalf of the entire counseling department. Life's a little busy these days, and things have come up and happened, so we went from 4 of us to 3 of us being here to today, just me. So I am going to do my best to just kind of fill you in on each building, and a little bit of what our data is looking like as far as the world of social and emotional health and growth. So we're going to start with Haven Grade. a few of the key areas that we are really gathering a lot of data to kind of see is what we're doing working is going to be in the zones of regulation. This is something that Rachel teaches, and as of this year so far, 90% of her students report having at least one coping skill to self-regulate after completing their first unit or their first quarter of the zones of regulation. This just kind of means they're able to get themselves back under control if something is not going okay for them. They believe that they have a way to come back down, so that's excellent. Relationship mapping, what we do at each building level is we like to kind of get a good gauge on the relationships that we as a staff are building with our students. I can only really speak to the high school as far as we do both from the staff to students and from the students to staff. In the Haven grade relationship mapping, I'm not sure if it's the exact same. It is excellent. So 93% of students report having at least one positive peer relationship, which is awesome. And 93 also report having at least one positive relationship with a staff member. New this year, we have a social emotional screener called the SABRS, and this is done by both teachers. They evaluate their students on a screener looking at their social behaviors, their academic behaviors, and their emotional behaviors. SABRS is, like I said, the teacher's version, and then the My SABRS is what the students get to do, so they self-report. K through 1 only does the SABRS because obviously we want them to be able to read the questions and do this on their own. So the My SABRS was 2 through 6. When you look at these percentages, we're under a tier system, and what that means is we hope to have at least, our goal normally is 80% of our students in a low range, meaning they're at benchmark for their social emotional behavior, they're feeling good and confident where they're at. The yellow indicates there's some risk, maybe in one of the 3 areas, either social, either academic, or emotional. And then the high risk means that they probably are having some difficulty in several of those areas, if not all of them. So kindergarten, you have the 83, the 10, and then the 7. First, you can see 78, 18, and 4. Then we move to second, 71, 29, and 0. Third is 69, 29, and 2. We have 4th grade at 88, then 12, then 0. 5th at 77, 21, and 2. And 6th at 74, 20, and 6. Rachel did want me to acknowledge that this is the first year that we've self-reported at such a young age. So the 2nd and 3rd grade, they are thinking that some of those results may indicate the level of comprehension at that age, and also reading skills. So I think it'll be interesting, we've discussed, to see what happens from here on out as they, because they will take this screener in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. So we will have several key data points to use. And what we're learning is, at a total level, we hope to cover in our curriculum as counselors the entire school. We will give them what they need overall at the same level. And then if we have some kids in the some risk and some at the high, that's where we're learning to maybe do some group work and then some individual pull out and working with students. So that's kind of how we're using these results to help guide our lessons and what we're doing. If you have any questions at Haven Grade, you can let me know. I'll do my best to answer. I'm sure Laura will help me. Okay, Yoder Charter, they do relationship mapping as well. However, their survey has yet to go out. That is happening this week on Wednesday. So I know that Maddie said that she apologized for not having that, but we did have the FastBridge scores, so the My SABRS. Maddie went ahead and gave you the number of students comparative to percentages, because the numbers are so different than in a lot of our buildings. So you'll see here that, like, in 2nd grade, 2 students had themselves at low, 4 at some risk, and 0 at high. 4 students, and then 2 in the 3rd, 3, and then 1, and then 5th. All 6 felt really good at 100% at the lower level. 6th grade had 3, 0, and then 1 student that rated themselves in high risk. 7th grade had 4 students low, 0 in the sum, and 1 student at high. And then the 8th grade had 6 students low, 1 sum, and 0 high. At the middle school, relationship mapping, 37% of students indicated by the staff they felt were at some risk academically and or emotionally. Of those students, 25% have lower numbers of trusted relationships. So what that tells us as a staff is that it is our hope that we are connecting to every student. But the ones that we really want to focus on are the ones that we think are at a higher risk and have lower relationships. So those are our highlighted key students that we tend to share with staff, that we say, hey, these are the students, in our advisory or MTSS groups that we really want to like hone in on and try and make that connection with. So that's why those numbers are kind of important to us. 97% of students indicated having at least one trusting relationship with a school staff member, and then all staff members listed were indicated as a trusted adult by at least one student. And I think that's extremely important to acknowledge, that every staff member at the middle school level had at least one kid that says, yeah, that's one of my people. So that's really great to have. In the My Sabers, 7th grade, we had 57% say that they were at low, 38 said at some, and 5% high. In the 8th grade, 70% low, 22 some, and 8 high. And remember, the My Sabers is a self-report from the students. So it's interesting then to look at our relationship mapping of what we think some kids are at as far as risk, and then what they see. And you can see in the middle school it's kind of close. So we said at least 37, or the middle school did, were at some risk academically or emotionally, and even in the 7th grade there was 38 that said they were at some. So it's interesting to see that everybody seems to be on the same page, and now we just work to help them feel not like they're at some risk. So the last one here is Haven High. So one thing I wanted to include for Haven High was that in the spring of 2021, which is the last time we took the Kansas Communities That Care survey, that's sent out by the county, we at HHS had lower risk factors and higher protective factors on average than the rest of the state of Kansas in our categories, and I thought that was amazing, because 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we had our results, there were some areas that we really saw a lot of high need. So to show that our school thinks that they're fairly resilient when they come across difficulties was awesome, and I wanted to acknowledge that. I gave a needs assessment to the kids at the beginning of the year. I like them to tell me where they think they want to put a lot of their energy and effort as far as lessons go. Obviously I have things that the state tells me I have to cover, but I also want them to have a voice in what we're going through. So the top 3 areas of needs at the high school this year so far has been stress and anxiety, gaining self-confidence, and dealing with feelings of sadness and depression. One thing that I wanted to point out for us was at least one staff member cares about me. 100% of the freshmen agreed, 94% of the sophomores, 96 of the juniors, and 92 of the seniors. In our relationship mapping, 56 of our students is what we were seeing that were maybe at some risk academically and or emotionally, so that's about 24%. And of those students, 10% had what we thought were 2 or less trusted relationships, and no one indicated 0 relationships though. So again, that's excellent to note that nobody said that there was absolutely nobody that they could connect with. As far as our Sabers go, I was really pleased by these results. The 9th grade had 70 low, 24 some, and 6% high, and just so you can see what that is, that's 3 students that listed themselves at high risk. In the 10th, 77 low, 22 some, 1 student at high risk. 11th, 86, 6, and then 4 students at high risk. And the seniors thought 80 low, 20 some, and 0 high. So that's just a little overview of a lot of numbers and a lot of data. It's something we're really pushing so that we can really progress monitor and try and figure out how to help these kiddos. The very last thing is I just wanted to let you know that our caring team, which partners with Horizons, we currently have 32 kids connected with Horizons, 5 at Yoder, 10 at HMS, and 12 at HHS. So when we see these high risks, when we see these needs, we understand that we may not be able to give them all the support that they need. So we're working really hard to connect them with other people that can also help be in their corner and work things out. So there you go.
I might just add, you hear us use the term KISA. That's our accreditation model. This is one of our major goals for KISA. So when we have a goal written for KISA, we have to identify that goal and say how we're going to address it, and then have data to say we are addressing it. That's how we get accredited as a school district. So these numbers are vitally important to us. As I said the other day to our administrative team, we don't have any choice of taking Kansas Communities of Care. It's vital. It's extremely important. And to be accredited, these numbers are supposed to be going up. No pressure on that.
Hey, I think we're headed in a good direction. And I'm being honest, I'm not just saying that.
And lastly, one of the things, and you give you guys credit for it, if you remember, this is the first time, I don't know how long, we've had 3 full-time counselors. So it's awesome to be able to say that our kids are having a level of care from that standpoint that maybe they haven't had before. So certain appreciation to our counseling team.
Yeah, I will let them know. Thank you. Okay.
Minutes from October 11th, and then there is also a special meeting. You have a chance to review those. They should be in your drive. Any questions, comments on those? And then resignations. We have 1 bus driver.
Correct, just the one.
Okay. All right. Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Would we approve the consent agenda?
Jessica, all second. Those in favor? 5-0. All right, on to action discussion. Financial advisor presentation. Clark, you want to introduce?
Yeah, I
Yes?
sure will. Maybe some of you guys would look at this guy and say he looks kind of familiar. It was just a few months ago he was here on behalf of the City of Haven. This is Kip Hart. He is the financial advisor for the City of Haven. His company is McCliney and Company, and he'd like to share some information about the potential of serving us in that way as well.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for the introduction. I am Kip Hart. It's my card in there in the front, in case you forget. And I would like to be the school district's municipal advisor, financial advisor. What we do as municipal advisors is we work as a fiduciary. And what that means is on any sort of financial project, we have to put legally the school district's interest above anyone else. So we just work to make sure if you were to issue bonds, if you were to look at any sort of project, that your interest is put absolutely ahead of anyone else's, including our own. It was created, the role was formally created in 2012 after the financial crisis of 08-09 because they saw that people didn't have the financial expertise to really know if they were being taken advantage of or not. So what we do is we work on any sort of financing offering, and we will help negotiate down fees. We will help then structure it in a way that's favorable. We will help you pick the best timing. We will help with any sort of election process that has to happen, which for GO bonds, schools usually have to vote them. And then we will take it to a public market to where underwriters will bid on it. And that way you know you're getting the lowest possible rate, lowest possible interest rate available because you're seeing several. And they're all submitting at the same time. You can see them all and you pick whoever's the cheapest. We do it by true interest cost, which means we take the rates plus the fees, and whatever comes out to the school ultimately paying the least amount of money is what we go with. We like to come on in times where the schools don't have a project right away because we don't charge any sort of contingency I've been working for the city of Haven for over a year. I've never charged them anything because we haven't completed an issue. I've just been there for advice. I've come to different meetings. I came here to help present about the RHID, and there's no charge for that because there hasn't been any sort of issue done. So I like to come in a time where the city doesn't need it right away, so that I'm worth it. However, when it does come to an issue, our fee pays for itself because you're getting a lower interest rate and we're keeping the fees lower. We have never found that it wouldn't have paid for itself. You can see the Government Finance Officers Association says at the bottom, on this what is a municipal advisor, the quote from the Government Finance Officers Association says that issuers should be using municipal advisors unless they have sufficient in-house expertise and current bond market information. City of Wichita uses a municipal advisor, so sufficient bond information is it's too expensive for any one issuer to have, but since we work with multiple issuers, it makes sense. And you can see in my agreement, the last line is what I like to start with. It says this agreement can be terminated at any time with or without cause with simple written notice. So if you were to bring me on tonight and 5 years down the road you haven't issued any project and you think I haven't held up my end of the bargain, you can say, "Dear Kip, we're sorry, you're fired," and it costs you nothing. You will have paid me nothing, but at that point it will have cost you nothing up until that point. So it really is, I like to come in now so that I can show you that it's worthwhile to keep me. But I'm here to ask to be the school's financial advisor. And then that last page I included is just the list of your outstanding debt. You have 2 GO bonds and 1 COP, a certificate of participation. And I included those partially because what I noticed about them is something I would have done differently. Those can't be refinanced, none of them until 2025. They built in a call feature of 2025. In 2015, there was no reason to have done a 10-year call feature. There's no reason to do a 10-year call feature. What we would have done is put in a 5-year call feature. Then in 2020, when rates were lower, we would have come in and refinanced that, and you would be saving money right now. And then same with the 2016 one, we would have done a 5-year call feature, 2021, and then I'd come in and say, this savings there to refinance, you'd be saving money right now. And then we'd be looking at, if rates stay as low as they are, that 2017 one in this coming year.
So would you have got the same rates whether you did a 5-year or a 10-year at that time?
We have found it hasn't affected rates at all. People want the bonds, and people are hungry for bonds, and the 5-year and 10-year is not affecting interest rates that they're bidding. And so that is just in 2025. I'd like to be keeping my eye on this to see if it ever becomes reasonable, or if there were reason the school district wanted to stretch this out. We could do, it's called an advance refunding, and you could probably keep about the same interest rate, but you'll be paying more in the long run, but you could probably lower the levy for a couple of years to do that. I don't think you need to be doing it right now, but if that were something the school district would like to consider, I could show you those numbers. Are there any other questions for me?
So what you're saying is the best time to have hired you would have been 2015, and the second best time would be now.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Your position's clear. So.
Yes, I was teaching in 2015, but McCliney and Company was doing this in 2015, and they would have structured it with a 5-year call feature because it wasn't affecting interest rates and it gives you more flexibility. And so if we were to do a future issue, we would put in a 5-year call feature because it's not going to affect interest rates and it will give you more flexibility. If we do a short issue, if we do something like 6 or 7, the whole funding is only 6 or 7 years, we'll put in a 2 or 3 year call feature. Because again, it's that flexibility that it offers.
How many other school districts do you work for?
So we have worked with school districts in, I believe, 39 states. including about 20 in Kansas. We've done for the Frontenac district. We have done a few in Bourbon County. But we were working with them mostly on, they're called QZABs, as a type of bond that does not exist anymore, but we did more QZABs than any other firm in the country, and it was a 0% interest rate bond. That was a dynamite deal for school districts that the 2017 tax code eliminated because they were trying to save money. The federal government was basically covering the interest payments for school districts on those. But we work with, we've worked with a couple hundred other school districts throughout the 38 states.
Clark, do all school districts have a municipal advisor?
Well, I feel obligated to tell you, we probably have one in place right now in Stifle. If you remember, Brett Shogren was our advisor when we passed our bond and sold the bonds. Just my advice, appreciate Kip being here, but I would suggest you don't take action tonight. And if you're interested in hearing from the other side, to do so next month.
Would that be the last time that we utilized his services, was when we passed the bond?
Well, when we refinanced the energy lease was the last time we used their services.
So I did take a look at those, and those were done by George K. Baum. And so maybe possibly that advisor has moved over.
He was with George K. Baum when that.
Okay, because George K. Baum is no longer in the municipal advising business. So unless you have signed an agreement with someone else, you don't currently have an agreement. But if you would like me to come back next month, I'm happy to.
I don't have any other questions.
Once bonds are issued, how are the fees determined?
So there are different fees that come into it. There's a legal fee. There's attorneys that have to work with it. There's a state fee. Our fee is in here, and it usually comes out to be about 1%. But then we work together. We work on what's called a notice of sale, and that's what we put out to different underwriters for them to bid, and we put their maximum fee in it. We build that in and say it can't be more than this, but it's typically under it because they're bidding to win. So it's done and then we can take bids on the legal fee as well, and we've done that there's a few different attorneys that do a great job, and when they know they're competing, they'll bid a lower legal number.
Any other questions? I think it's good information to have, and you can kind of go forward and keep them in mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, let's remove blank there.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kip.
Alright. Now on to number 2, new board member interviews. We're fortunate enough to have 2, which is great. But it has to be done in open session. I guess I'll ask them how they want to handle it, because if we're getting to hear the same question, the same answer, that's a little disadvantageous to the second person. So be kind of up to you two to decide if whatever you want to. Well, or we could just alternate asking questions, whichever you feel more comfortable with. But I can't ask you to leave. I mean, if you want to leave the room, it's voluntary.
I'll step out and you talk to her first.
Okay.
In your drive, there's a folder that says board member appointment information, and so each of them has an app. Why don't you come right up front to the table? Each of them has an application they've filled out, and then there's some potential questions that could be asked, but it's really your choice what questions you'd like to ask.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start. I won't be on long, so I got another month to go. But, what drives you to become a board member, and then what do you see as the biggest challenge?
Well, you know, I never even thought about being a board member until actually about 6 months ago, and someone was brought into my life that had kind of told me a little bit about it. I started to get a little bit more educated in what a board member even does. I started going to several board meetings from different schools just to kind of see a difference in them. I really realized how important they are to be a good voice between the students and the parents and the school systems. And, you know, with everything that's going on right now, it's very important to have a good, clear voice between the relationships between the students and the parents and then the schools, so that there is good communication between the two. And so, you know, I always, and I think I put it in kind of in my application, but I sit there and a lot of people can complain about things or you know, coach on, you know, be a Sunday morning coach on, you know, on Monday mornings, and they can say what they would have done or should have done, but not very many people are willing to step up and actually be involved in doing it. I was told by someone that it's a thankless job, but it's one of the very most important jobs that you don't get recognized for, but it has meaning. And, you know, with kids in the school system, I don't want to sit to the sidelines, and I want to be involved, and I want to be a voice for it. And now I took too long. What was your second question?
What's your goals?
My goals for it?
Or see as the biggest problem?
Just the biggest problem, challenge. Oh goodness, turn on the news, there's challenges every day. Yeah, obviously you guys are dealing with so much between COVID and just social, I mean, depression. You've seen that, it seems like you got a pretty good handle on the children and their, you know, depression. Obviously with social media and everything that is weighing into all of the different things that the students are exposed to right now. You guys definitely have your hands full as far as the biggest challenges. So, you know, I would hope that I would be able to bring some benefits to it, but.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Jessica?
I'm gonna be 100% honest and tell you that I didn't realize there was applications in there, so I'm gonna ask you a question that might be already answered in your application.
That's okay.
I'm just
so much crap in there.
That's good. So I was just curious. Do you have students in the district? You said.
Yes, I
and
do.
Just curious, like what? Well, I don't need to know their personal ages. I was just curious, making sure that you said that. So
I have a 7th grade boy,
yeah.
Who's ornery, and then I have a 2nd grade girl who's good. I'm sure they'll switch places when they get older, but yes.
I just think it's important to be a little bit semi connected to the district. So
you
awesome.
know, and I try to do as much as I can with the school.
Sure.
You know, when I can.
I've heard good things.
But
I think we bid against each other on something.
Oh.
Dustin? Yep.
Well, Jessica stole my question because I think it's important, you know, that you have kids in the district and you have a vested interest. So I think that's great. I know Chris is probably ready with the question. If you come back to me, I'll.
Okay. Okay.
What, you know, I think, I didn't realize this, but I think we all kind of, based on our backgrounds, have different things that, when we talk about bringing something like an expertise, you know, like as a pastor, I'm more of like social, like I understand that better than I do money, or you know. And anyway, what like based on your past, your job, skills you believe you have, like what kind of things specifically do you think day one, like you're gonna be able to give us advice on, help us in that realm, whatever it may be?
Well, obviously I'll have to, you know, be caught up on everything that you're dealing with day one. But no, I've had 2 careers in my life, and when I read the agenda on this one, I thought I understood what I was here for, because I am a financial advisor. I don't deal with municipal bonds, so don't worry about that. But I do so I do deal with finances, and all, you know, so I understand a lot of that language and a lot of, obviously, things in that area. I also, prior to that, was a technical designer for Cabela's, and so, yeah, don't ask me to switch, but it was, in both careers, though, they sound like they have nothing, one thing has nothing to do with the other, but in both careers, my main goal was they would have to solve a problem. In both of them, I solve problems in both of them, from, you know, fix this to make it better, how do we functionally design it to make it better, to, you know, this person wants to get into retirement, what do we need to do in order to get them there? I've been known for thinking outside of the box. I like to use creative ideas, things that are not just black and white. I tend to walk a little bit in the gray area, but I think that you can find a lot more windows of opportunities if you look, just take a couple steps back and look down at it. Yeah, I'm semi-knowledgeable in a lot of different areas, you know, from taxes to investments.
Sure.
My husband has ran a company, I own my business, so, you know, we kind of deal with differences of employees and areas, and so, I don't know, I try to think of myself as a problem solver, but I also try to do everything with knowns, and I'm not speaking very correctly on this, but in investments and anything, there's a whole bunch of things that you don't know. And so what I try to focus on are the knowns, and taking advantage of all the knowns that are around us that we can solidify and that we can have clear answers to, because then that takes a little bit more pressure off the unknowns, and that's what a whole bunch of life is filled with, is a lot of unknowns. So I try to do a really good job of focusing on everything that is known, everything that we can control, and so that we can relieve some of the pressure of the unknowns going forward. So no, that probably doesn't have any effect, but.
And your mom, so you have mom instincts, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good, that's good.
Yeah, I think my daughter's the one with big old bright lit up wings, you know, because I'm like the helicopter mom. Like,
Yeah.
Where's my daughter at Halloween?
Yeah.
You know, you could see her from a mile away, so it's fun.
Paul, you got any questions?
Well, you know, from a parent's perspective, I mean, do you see something that you really want to fix here in school district, or you just want to be involved?
No, and actually, you know, I really want to be involved. Actually, we left, we were always in Haven School District. We had our kids over at Hutch just for, we worked in town, and it was a little bit more convenient for us to have our kids in town. So we would drive them in, and if they were to ride the school bus home, with her now only being a second grader, if I got hung up at work, or my husband got hung up at work, not being able to be home with her, she was too young. So we always had intentions of coming to Haven. But it got pushed for a reason, a little bit quicker than we had initially planned, with COVID and the issues and all of that stuff that came on. And that's kind of when I started getting involved in board meetings and going to them. I was so impressed by your willingness to not just file in with the way everybody else was doing. I know that there was, you know, a lot of schools and a lot of systems saying this is the way to do it, this is the only way to do it, and you know, you guys did it. You guys, I mean, involved churches, you took your resources, you did everything you possibly could to do what I felt was best for the children. And I said, you know what, that is something I want to be a part of. Like, they are being creative. They are doing what's best for the children. And you know, so that's really what we left. I had gone to the Hutch School Board meeting. Very next day, we pulled our kids from Hutch and brought them over here. What would have been September of last year. So we have been just so pleased with the way. So I don't come in to change. I come to be a part and to grow and to help, because I think you guys have done such a great job.
Yeah. Dustin, did you come up with another one?
No, I mean, I was gonna ask if there was one main issue. It sounds like COVID definitely probably drove a lot of your wanting to get on the school board, or at least maybe.
No, the school, not necessarily to get on the school board, because I don't want it wasn't that was a mission to get on the school board. It was the way that you all handled it was appealing to me, to say, if I want to be a part of something, the way you guys addressed it was, I wanted to be a part of that group. Because I think you guys did things that weren't always popular to what maybe everybody else was doing at the time. And so that just shows that in the same sense, you're willing to, you know, think outside of the box, walk a little bit in the gray, and just try to use what you have and do what's best for the kids. And that's, I mean, it was more of a group that I wanted to be a part of, and to try to bring any of the skills that I have. I don't know if you have them or don't have them on this, you know, but just to try to offer them if you happen to need them.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any more questions or? Thank you.
Thank you.
Public speaking is not one of them.
If you wanna let-
Lay that one out there.
You did a great job.
You did.
Thank you. That's what we did. We just went around the table and kind of asked you some questions on why, and I started out asking, why do you want it, and then kind of follow that up. What are your goals, and think our biggest challenges are?
Sure. For the why, so selfishly, I have an age 6 and a 3-year-old, so I'm very interested in the education that's being provided to my kids as well as all the kids in the community, and I certainly want to do everything in my power to help provide that great education. And I guess kind of why I want to do this is I feel like I've got a lot of skill set from my job outside of here. So I'm a senior manager at Amazon, and I've spent 15 years in leadership and driving process improvements and budget management. I think a lot of those skill sets translate well to this arena. So I think I provide a kind of a unique insight to this board to try to support that education and growth. I think the last part of your...
Is it like, what are your goals, and what do you see as our biggest challenge?
I think, well, it's a little bit hard to say exactly what the biggest challenge is with not being on the board, because I certainly don't hear all of the issues that all of you have to deal with, but I think a couple of them are me having young kids, that I see this a little bit with my kids, is making sure that, you know, at the very lowest levels that we're prepared, and these kids are coming into kindergarten ready to go, and that they're really getting off on the right foot. And certainly COVID has really made things messy the last couple of years, but I've heard about some of the data that's been challenging, and it's a little bit hard to tell how much of it's COVID related and how much of it is maybe process related, or things that we can do better. But I'm certainly interested in what's going on at those levels, and anything that we can do to help drive that. And then I think a second piece is, you know, fiscally speaking, how does the school stay competitive in the workplace? You know, I've certainly seen text messages about bus drivers and some of those challenges, and you know, I was doing some research on you know, even how we compensate teachers, and you know, we're as a state, teachers make 17% less than they did 20 years ago, because school districts haven't been able to keep up with inflation. So, you know, when today I heard that UPS is paying $22 an hour to get somebody to, just show up and move boxes. That's going to be an increasing problem over the next, 3 to 5 years. With inflation is certainly difficult when you're an organization with a fixed budget versus a company like Amazon, where we can just raise prices on customers and it's all over the problem.
Okay, thank you. Jessica?
Yep. Similar to my question to the last candidate, just to confirm, I think you said this, well, but the kids that you have are students in this district, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
My son's in 3rd grade, my daughter's in 1st grade, and my youngest is in school yet.
Awesome. Okay. That's the question I had.
Any particular changes that you have in mind that you'd like to see implemented or addressed in some sort?
Great question. I don't know that I have anything hard and fast, but I do think, kind of regardless of what we're looking at, and even like the counseling stuff that we talked about earlier, it's a little bit near and dear to my heart, I guess, since I'm ready to be a counselor. But I think as a school, not only we're doing a much better job of collecting data than it sounds like we ever have in the past, but kind of tying that to concrete goals and key steps to how we get from point A to point B in a time frame to get there, so that it's sometimes you can get in the habit, and I experience this in my work, is that like you see these targets and you kind of keep seeing the data flow in, but sometimes we don't tie it to a result that's measurable that we can take action on.
So you're talking about like academic scores, or? Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably the ones that I'm the most concerned about right now is probably reading and math scores. Nearly everyone in my family was a math teacher, so my dad and mom were both math teachers, and so was my grandma and my sister-in-law. So and as an engineer, that's certainly close to my heart. But I feel like if we provide that, if we're really nailing those foundational things, much like this social emotional, we build that foundation, the kids are able to thrive and really be successful.
Chris?
All right, this might be kind of hard, but you seem like a pretty sharp guy, so I'm gonna ask a question they have here, but I'm gonna add a little on to it. So how can the board help attract and retain the best possible employees for this district and continue to grow this district, in your opinion, based on what you've observed?
I think, and I kind of touched about it a little bit with the compensation piece, but compensation is not really what keep people here. It's really
Mindy Barter.
It's these guys over here that are really going to be the main piece. That's like, people work for their manager, and teachers especially work for their kids. So, if we're going to retain teachers and be successful at that, what that's really going to show is when we've got mechanisms in place that are dealing with the teachers' issues, so that they don't get burned out with work that they shouldn't have to be doing, or things that can be done more efficiently, or maybe it's even more support. That's not news to anybody here, but the teachers at Yoder have a much lower student to teacher ratio than we have in Avon. Those teachers are probably much less susceptible to being burned out than teachers at Haven grade. So I think you do it with the processes within the school, more so than anything. Sure. And there are little things that we can do, as board members, writing notice to teachers and seeking feedback directly from them. Not everything that always filters up to the board is as raw as it may be when they're dealing with challenging things, and I think there's probably opportunities to do more of that.
Yeah.
Paul?
Are you a native around here, or are you?
I'm not. My wife grew up here. I grew up in Southeast Kansas, and we've lived here since 2016. So my son will be a 6th generation farmer in the area, but I myself am not from Haven directly. No.
How do you like Haven compared to where you came from?
Well, I grew up east of Winfield in the middle of nowhere in Granola, Kansas, so it's pretty remote. Clark's been there several times. He could probably tell you about it, but But there are a lot of very similar things. It's small town aspects, a lot of support for the community. You know, I spent a little bit of time down in Dallas and Fort Worth before we moved back here to help transition over the farm with me. You know, I just felt so disconnected from everything. And I was like, those aren't my people. We need to get back to Kansas. So this is much more like home to me.
Okay, anybody else have any more questions? What do we get? Kelly back in here. I think we're very fortunate to have two excellent candidates.
I agree.
Too bad we didn't have two open spots for them to each take one, but we unfortunately.
We can make that happen.
Look at me.
I have been on the board for a long time, comparatively speaking. No.
He disappears.
But unfortunately, we got to make a tough decision between the two of them. I think they'll both be excellent board members. I'll be going off, so maybe some of you that are going to be retained on it, maybe make the motion, but just one thing to think about, I guess, as just a board organization, it doesn't preclude you to have a spouse that's involved and works with the district, but it will limit you, like when you're talking about negotiations and stuff like that. I mean, because we could potentially have three, so that would just something to keep in mind. But that's just doesn't eliminate anybody, but it doesn't. That's just something to think about. But you will have to have a unanimous vote on those things, and everybody be here. So is that fair enough? Well,
it takes 4 votes to take any action.
So, and if
even tonight,
yeah,
it takes 4 votes to take any action.
So anyway, that's just full disclosure information there. I'm not trying to sway anybody, but look for a motion to nominate one of these. And I guess we should say that Danelle has the paperwork here. Once we vote, they can sign off, and they can become part of the meeting tonight if they so choose. So
yeah, you don't.
No
have
pressure.
To.
No pressure.
It's just an option.
But it's an option. So, is there a motion to nominate?
I don't think it's a bad decision here. I mean, I don't know who you would pick.
Yeah, before anything happens, I just, whoever gets elected tonight, I hope the other one of you runs in 2 years.
I really do.
When there's open, because seriously, two very good.
Very, very, very qualified, both of you, so.
I'd say go alphabetical order. Just do it that way.
Okay, I'm going off the board, and this isn't a real easy decision by any means. I think both of them would be great and couldn't go wrong either way, but based off the interviews, I would nominate Daniel Kelly for the school board position.
Is there a second?
Can we make the county vote?
What's that?
Can we make the county vote? Take us back on a ballot.
Do you want me to just step back? We can talk about this, okay?
Let's go in the hallway, flip a coin, and come back later.
No, I mean, if it's an issue, I was not aware of my husband being.
My wife's a counselor though, so
Oh, okay.
that really doesn't help either.
And I'm like, he's a middle school coach,
Yeah.
so.
Oh.
No, it doesn't matter. That's what I say. You guys just pick one.
Yeah, so really we're both in that.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I never trust her in good hands. I am very busy. I just thought this was an opportunity that I didn't want to not at least go for. So if he's very well qualified.
You both are.
Really?
I mean, no.
I think that's the one unanimous thing we can come to. And unfortunately, they're two great candidates, and that makes a difficult decision.
I'm impressed with both of them.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So, anyway, we have a motion on the
Okay.
table, but you haven't had a
I'll
second.
second.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
as well just ask,
Motion by
we have
Dustin.
to make a decision and.
And then Paul was the first one to say a second, so. All those in favor of Daniel Kelly, raise your right hand.
I would go for either.
Yeah.
I know.
This is the hardest, one of the harder decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 5-0 then.
Yeah,
Please run.
I'd love to have you on the board as well. In 2
You're
years,
fine.
I really hope that you run.
It's not a big deal. It's
You're saying you'd rather go back to COVID topics than pick a board member?
Yeah, there's an opening with COVID. Right here.
So, welcome to the board. So do you want to sign the paper and
Yeah,
sit
sure.
in? And-
Yep.
Or you can just observe one evening if you want to.
I just want to say, like, shout out to Kelly for
Oh, yeah. Thank you for stepping
both of
up.
you for stepping up and saying, like, you're willing to even step into the position. I would have selected either one. I don't obviously have a decision, and it's awesome that you had that willingness to show up today, and your financial background sounded amazing, and I know you've done a lot for the school, so awesome
honestly,
for showing
it's
up.
really, I just didn't want the opportunity to pass without trying.
Absolutely, and thank you for
But
that.
it's not gonna, I'm still gonna be involved.
You're still
Yeah,
gonna
stay
call us
involved,
and
yeah.
complain.
now you'd be the complainer because I tried to be on the other side. No, really, it is fine. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we're very appreciative that we had two such excellent candidates. I mean, can't say that enough. Okay, I guess you just signed that. You already.
You're on me in there.
You're in that tablet. All right. Consideration of Mount Hope revitalization support. Clark.
Yeah, Danelle's actually got a little more information on it. For you, some of you that have been here and done this, typically each November, we take action to determine whether we'll continue to support that for another year. That starts in January. Mount Hope Revitalization Program has been in place, I don't even know how many years, but Danelle has a copy of it. If you would like to look at it, but it really just supports improvements made to properties in Mount Hope. This board has supported it all the years that I've been here, at least the 7 years I have been. Do you have a kind of a ballpark of what it costs us on a yearly basis?
It's usually around 3,000 somewhere, give or take, just depends on if new comes or if it drops off.
That's not necessarily a cost, it's just money that's collected that we
Right.
refund, right?
Yes.
We wouldn't have received it
Yeah.
unless they
Yeah.
made an improvement anyway.
Yes,
Based on applications that might occur in a given year.
and that's,
Who knows what it would be?
yeah, I mean, we
And
wouldn't
it's-
know any of that.
That's a little different because it's in Sedgwick County, because Sedgwick County makes them pay the tax. And then we have to turn around and pay the person back, so. Where Reno County, they don't send the tax bills, the difference.
I recommend we continue to support it.
So, do we have a motion? Or any other questions, I guess?
Oh,
Any other questions, not a motion?
I'll make a motion, we
Okay,
approve
Jessica.
this.
Second? Dustin? All those in favor, right hand? 6-0.
Can he vote before getting sworn in or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
just
right.
got
He
sworn
just
in.
got sworn in.
Oh, I thought you had to go to the.
They now can allow it to
No,
happen.
yeah, I went with her. I
Through-
went with her too.
Through a form.
Yeah.
You made me drive to lunch.
Because they didn't like me
Yeah.
doing
We didn't want to lose too.
All right.
Can't let him leave.
All right, now it's executive session for personnel, right? Next up. Where's the wording here?
Can we make it?
Yeah, go ahead, you got it up.
I move the board recess to executive session to discuss issues with current staff members pursuant to the non-elected exception under KOMA. The open meeting shall resume at
do we need?
Let's say 20 minutes.
Oh,
So 20 minutes, so,
I thought you were gonna get us out of here early.
so quarter till, packet.
7:45.
7:45.
Is our clock back?
Look at the clock on my hair, it's right.
Okay.
So, was there a second? Did we have a second? All
All in favor?
in favor, raise your right hand. Chris? Chris?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay. 6-0. Expenditure consideration on a bus.
So first of all, I wanted to go back to our overall document that shows past few years and intended capital outlay expenditures. And so we're really looking at the 21-22 line. And we talked about some of these last month, but you can see an electrical upgrade at the stadium softball fields, a roof that's been identified as being the next one needed above the high school shops. And then the window system roofing replacement. If you remember, that was where the roofing is not warranted because the windows are too close to the roof. That's at the high school. I gotta get glasses on because I can't see that far. The one that came up last month that you guys asked Tracy to look into was a bus replacement. And she has put in your drive 2 bids. And also in her report, she put some other information, and I'll tee her up to cover that other information.
Okay. Where are those bids at?
They're the ones that are kind of pink across the top.
I do have copies for the, is
I
it?
got them.
You got it? Okay. I have copies if you want one that I printed. So you had asked for the bids, an updated bid. Oh, yes, sorry.
They haven't sent me any of this stuff.
You just have to guess. There's one with AC and one without. So, with buses. So. Okay, so, and then you have, like I said, there's one with AC, one without AC for the bids. And, of course, the one with AC is going to be higher. The cheapest one, if we were to go with AC, is Kansas Truck, which has changed because in the past they have been the highest bidder, but they're the lowest one this time. So one of the things that Jeremy, the salesman that I spoke to with Midwest Bus Sales, wanted me to point out to you is those lower bids at Kansas Truck, it's only for like a 1-year warranty. And so if we pay the extra, then we get a 3-year warranty. So that's what the major difference is in those two.
I think Midwest Bus is the low bid at $105,614.
Yes.
You know who has the warranty?
Who has the warranty? Midwest Bus Sales.
So they're the lowest and they have the more warranty.
No. Okay, so it's confusing, I know. On the very last page, that's where the total amounts are.
Yeah.
Where it says grand total.
Yeah, 105,636 for Kansas Truck.
Yes.
And then 105,614.
So the 108,923.
Oh, okay.
Midwest Transit.
Yes.
Midwest Transit's the. Okay.
Yes.
But Midwest Bus is 105,614.
614, yes.
So it's low.
Yes. It's the low one.
And they have a warranty.
Yes. But that is only on the hold on just a second. That is only on the with AC. Because without AC, if you look on here, the Midwest Bus Sales is the highest one, which is what he was referring to.
Okay.
So,
I'm just looking at the
yes,
right.
I apologize. I had a really busy day. I meant to go over this information, and I was training someone and had some other bus issues come up. So that's what I was referring to with the higher bid. So only the one without AC. So, and that's what he wanted to point out was the difference between the warranties.
So Midwest Bus is offering a 3-year warranty whether it's with AC or without AC?
They are, But if we go without the AC, they're gonna be higher, it's a higher bid, but the warranty is, you get the 3-year warranty. I know that's a little confusing.
That's
So-
not that confusing, I don't think. They are offering a free
Yes.
warranty.
Exactly.
No matter which, but they're higher up without AC. Their AC is
Yes,
cheaper.
without AC.
That's what it amounts to.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then you wanted to know what it would be if we were to trade in bus 47, the one that we've had all the issues with. The trade would only be $4,000. So likely, like we discussed last month, it would be better to go with Purple Wave, selling on Purple Wave, because we paid $50,000 for it in 2016. So, but we've put in over $40,000 now in repairs on that bus. So, so those were the 3 things that were asked. So those were the bids, and for air conditioning, non-air conditioning, and then the $4,000 for the bus.
And how long?
How long it will be, May or June before. He said, actually, I talked to him on the phone on Friday, and he said, before he had told me maybe May, but on Friday he told me it would definitely be June before we could get a new bus.
Is that regardless of who we get the bus from? Whichever company
Yes.
we select is going to be?
Yes. So the way that, I don't know, I know that you probably aren't familiar with it, but the way that bus bidding, it goes through the Kansas Department of Ed. So the 3 manufacturers, so it makes it more fair. They can't like cheat a district or something like that. So I did talk to the salesman, Jeremy, and that's only because from Midwest Bus Sales, we have more of a majority of Thomas buses. We have Bluebirds too, but the Thomas buses are the 3 that we have that are activity buses. And so he's a Thomas dealer. And I was thinking that we would stick with Thomas. That's what the drivers are most familiar with. We do have some Bluebirds, but I would say they're more familiar with the Thomas bus. So that's why I was talking to him. So I have some contacts at Kansas Truck. I can.
Is it your
talk to as well.
recommendation to purchase a vehicle with
It
or
is.
without air conditioning?
So I have never had a route bus that had air conditioning in all my years of driving. So it is hot though at the beginning of the school year, the first 6 weeks of school. It's miserably hot for not only the driver but the kids. So I would suggest I think it's worth it to pay the extra money for air conditioning, but then there arises an issue with who gets it exactly, because the majority of the buses are not air conditioned. But I do have 2 drivers that are driving air conditioned buses, and the bus that I am currently driving has air conditioning, but it is not working. The director before me chose not to fix it, and I also have done that because I don't think it's right for me to have air conditioning. The majority of my drivers don't. So it's $500 to fix it, and I figured I can put that money other places. So I've chosen not to fix it either. So anyway, so that's where we're at. Like I said in my report, well, do you have any questions about buses before I talk about another thing I wanted to bring up? About the bids or anything like that?
Are we obligated to go with the lower bid, or is there, if one company's offering us a 3-year warranty versus a 1-year, and we decide that's worth more than $2,000, can we elect the higher bid?
Yeah, lowest responsible bid, so you can make some adjustments based on other details such as warranty.
If we don't go with the lowest bid, I have to make a special report as to the reason that we're not going with the lowest bid.
Is it
So
a
that would be like
3-year
the warranty.
bumper-to-bumper warranty, or how does the
I'm not honestly sure. I would have to ask
what
him
it says
for the
on the
details.
It says it's bumper to bumper.
It's okay. Sorry about that. It does say it on the sheet. So that's everything. So that's good. I mean, a 3-year warranty on a school bus is really good.
47, that was in Golden.
Because I've known buses that are only like a year old and they start having issues, so. Any
So
other
I guess,
questions?
Kind of goes back down to air conditioning.
right, that's what we're deciding.
Yeah,
Or no air conditioning.
Because they didn't place a $900 value on their 3-year warranty.
yeah, that's what he said.
It does seem low.
That's what I was thinking for a bus. When he
Yeah.
emailed that to me, I thought that too.
The amount that we use them
Yes,
compared to the other
Yeah.
districts.
yes, we have a very, and that's part of the reason why that our buses are, we've had to have a lot of repairs, especially recently, and our buses go a lot more miles than some other districts, especially on the dirt roads and things like that. So,
Where's Ken when you need him?
Yeah, Ken.
I still think, I know this district isn't real big, but I still wanna look at outsourcing the thing. Cause I know it affects the drivers you got and stuff, but man, this stuff is getting out of hand. I don't know what we spend total dollars, do we know, Mark? I mean, what it would.
Danelle and I looked into it a while back, and of course we didn't count our inventory sitting out here, but it was close to 600,000.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an interest from anybody on that stuff or not, or if it's worth pursuing. I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking. Since we have driver issues, we have bus issues. I'd like to see it. So, not saying we're gonna do anything. I think it ought to be an option.
Like a bid for like Durham to just take it over, turnkey operation.
Turnkey operation.
All the vehicles, all the drivers, everything.
Didn't we get a price from them for activities? That was outlandish.
And they didn't want to do it, basically.
They gave us a price like they didn't want to do it?
Yeah.
That may be the case. We don't have choice.
I don't know.
they do tend to mark it up. I mean, Durham even marked it up when I had to get, compared to Village Tours, when I had to get, I had to hire them, I had to find somebody to drive our football, and Village Tours, charter bus, and Durham, a school bus, and they wanted to charge the same amount.
Except they're gonna have to be in it for a profit.
Yes. And that's the bad thing, they don't have the investment into the kids or the district when you do that. So.
The hardest part's probably dealing with your assets, because now you got a whole bunch of buses that are worth $4,000 a piece that $500,000 for it.
Is that what you're getting at here, that we should do that before we spend another $100,000 on a
Well,
bus?
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'd sure like to know.
We could always ask them if they would provide a quote for us. You know, we got a lot of time before we're gonna get a bus. Of course.
We have somebody to drive the bus, and we get it?
That's question.
Right there.
But I would say this, she's already on her second quote. They tend to go up a little bit.
This is the solid price until October 31st of next year, though. It's a year thing.
Really?
Yes, we just got in, yeah. It goes from October 31st of this year to November 1st of next year.
When we act tonight or 2 months from now, it's the same price. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Just delivery date.
Unless you,
Delivery
You're
date.
looking at bumping into school
Yes.
this year on getting your bus versus June.
right, exactly.
So, not a wide open.
And you don't pay for the bus until it gets delivered. Just like we didn't pay for the minibuses till they were delivered.
Probably ought to, we're supposed to encumber it though.
But we
Yeah.
covered it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in essence, it's
Here.
yeah.
Check may not be kept, but
I'll
it shows.
once again be the voice of conservation, as I usually am in the district. We've already spent $117,000 on a bus, out of 2 buses out of this budget year. We have some other items up there. And I guess that'll be the question, are we gonna, if we buy a bus for $105,000 or $98,000 or whatever it is, are we gonna do the other ones? Are we gonna drop something on the other ones? You guys kinda know our capital outlay dollars, well, except for Daniel. We have well over $1 million in capital outlay, so can we afford it? Yes. Do you want to spend that amount of money? That's the next question. Want to delay a month and have me go see how fast I can get a Durham bid?
Yeah, Paul's scared me, but I don't feel comfortable talking buses without Ken here.
Okay.
It certainly doesn't hurt to check. I mean,
Yeah.
we all think they'll come back super high, but
I guess, I don't know, maybe I just don't remember from the last time, but are we just limping along with another bus, or I'm sorry, I can't
There's
remember
several.
the details.
Okay, so B47, bus 47
Right.
is the main bus that we have issues
Right.
with.
And-
It's a 2012, and like I said, we purchased it for $50,000 in 2016. We put $40,000 worth of repairs in it.
Right.
The driver that drove that bus, that's one of the reasons why he quit. is
Right, but
because
are we like not picking up kids because we are missing a bus, or is there some
it
other?
could happen. Yes, you know why? Because we have 5 buses that are short buses that only fit about 30 kids in them. And
The answer is no, that's not happening.
It could.
We are picking up the kids.
We are picking up the kids, but it could happen. I've got 2 long buses in the shop at Kansas Truck. I have 1 bus that is a long bus for a spare that I'm going to start driving tomorrow. Then I have no spare buses other than the activity buses.
But we have, if I remember right from last meeting, there are 3 spares. And one
There-
of them we were gonna get worked on.
Yes, there are 3 spare. Yes, and that one's fixed. That's when I'm going to start driving. But I have 2 buses that are at Kansas Truck. So I'm driving a spare. I have another driver that's driving a spare. The 3 buses that you're talking about are short buses. I only have 1 spare bus that's a long bus. Technically, I have another one, but she usually drives it in the afternoon, so she has more room. So the problem is, if I have a long bus that breaks down and I have no spare bus that's that length, I don't have an extra driver to drive 2 short buses to transport those kids. I'm driving and Cherie's driving right now because we're so short on drivers. So I have no subs right now too. So
So I guess then put it off for another month and maybe get an idea if Durham's interested at all, and maybe we can kind of maybe, because 1 month probably we'd still have it for school next year instead of June. If we get it in July, that would make any difference. So
we have all summer to get our broken buses fixed.
yeah. So we'll table that till next month then, if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, district staffing levels. Clark.
In your drive, you have a document called class size review. I'll pull it up here as well, but Daniel, you won't have it, but it's up on the screen. So we had received an email expressing concern about class sizes think that really came from the high school, but I just did maybe an audit of where we're at with everything. So I wanted to start this discussion tonight with this topic, and so the first document I have pulled up there, at least up on the screen, you guys can see it too, HGS, and I would say really the cause for concern at HGS is in 5th and 6th grade. So you can see how many sections we have of each grade, and we've always tried to keep our youngest students with the smallest classes. And so that's kind of why you see that 4th, 5th, and 6th just have 2 sections. But probably this is an area of concern when you look at 28 in a section. And I don't know that I've heard much from these folks like you guys, like the other ones we heard from, but I wanted you to be aware that this is an area of concern as well. So that is the potential to add another upper elementary teacher as far as Haven Grade School might be concerned. I'll click on to Yoder. Those numbers are no issue whatsoever, definitely much smaller. I go to the middle school, and obviously now you're going to get into a bunch of class sections. But if you kind of scan through the middle school, probably it's about as big as you might see. I see a 20 in there, a couple of different 20s. And so a lot of times middle school kids with classes in the 50s, we typically have 3 sections of our core classes there, and then certainly our electives are differently. And then probably the one we heard about was the high school, and that was associated with language arts. So you can see 9th and 10th language arts. Once again, numbers in the 20 range, a few less. I might share that is one teacher's class load, 9th and 10th grade. And then the next set of them are really 11th and 12th graders, American Lit and Young Adult Literature and Contemporary Literature, so a little lower there. And as you scan down, you can see what math looks like. Different sections of those. Then you get into science. Strength and conditioning are probably some of our biggest classes, and I would say they might even like it that way with a little bigger classes. I don't want to speak for them, but that's not unusual. And then you'll see some that are fairly small yet too, with some of them being in that 20 range as well. Obviously, you see a 5th band of 42. Obviously, band takes more numbers, so that's kind of important. 52 band members in 5th grade. That's a good number in 5th grade. That's the majority of the class.
There's more in 5th grade than there is in the high school.
So I thought I would start with this, just kind of like I said, an audit of what our current numbers are by grade level and by class. This is a good place to start. We'll continue looking at this, but if you remember the process, typically in the spring, I will bring you guys a staffing level to consider, and then you guys kind of know, well, how many sections of 5th grade are we going to have, and what are we projecting those numbers to look like. The challenge is you kind of got to make these decisions during hiring times, and most of the time we have a very vague idea of what the numbers are going to be, because hiring, prime time for hiring might be February, March, April, and a lot of times, like we had a spike in enrollment this year, we didn't really know it until August when we had enrollment. So, questions from anybody?
So the complaints, or I mean the concern by the high school was that they didn't feel like they were equipped to handle the class sizes that they had?
Yeah, I've kind of had that clarified for me. I would say that it's language arts related, and it's kind of based around the total number of kids a teacher might have. Not so much the class size, could be the class size, because they have been bigger than this before, but language arts is probably a little more grade intensive. The amount of grading that goes along with that can be intensive. And so I think that's really where that's coming from is it's really just two teachers that has those two groups of kids and a lot of work that goes with it. Might remind some of you, well, not many of you will know this, a couple of years ago we did try to hire an additional part-time language arts teacher, and even went to the idea of trying to hire it with a virtual component to it. So maybe part-time virtual, part-time in the building type of deal. So that would be something we could look at as well. So the idea would be get less kids per staff member.
Did you have a recommendation at this point? It didn't
Not
sound
quite
like-
yet.
Okay. You're working on it.
Obviously, and that's why I brought up, typically at some point, we're gonna bring a staffing level
Okay.
recommendation.
I see.
This many people for this many grades and this many subject area type deal.
Looks to me like the problem's not even really high school, but it's probably more 5th and 6th grade. We got 30% more kids for a teacher than.
That seems to be the biggest problem currently. And I would say it was one that snuck up on us a little bit that we didn't really see coming until enrollment.
Because they were students that came back or students that moved in or both.
Yeah, some of both.
And I think the difficulty, like you're saying, the challenge is, like, they can live in Hutchinson and come here and they can change their mind again. I mean, we don't want to think that way, but, I mean, those are just the realities we have to live with and consider.
Yeah.
Try to get a full picture of.
And for us and you guys, the leap of faith is, do we go hire someone in March, projecting numbers?
Yeah, or we can come up with 34 or 36, and be overwhelmed.
It's just like if you go back to Haven grade and you can go to kindergarten, some of our lowest numbers there. But we committed that we were going to have 3 kindergarten teachers. And I kept saying, get any more kindergartners? Get any more kindergartners?
It was a little scary at first. Our first projected enrollment of kindergarten was 25.
I would have said we gained 10 new kindergartners just in the last couple of weeks before school started.
Yes, and the majority of our students that were new enrollees, we actually had a lot in district, a lot of families moving into the district, not as many outside of the district or special transfers.
So we'll bring that back to you. We'll keep that on the burner. And obviously, if you have thoughts or suggestions, we're always open to hearing what you have to say.
Okay, so that finishes up for tonight then. On to number 7, ESSER 3 update, union incentive pay.
First of all, we talked about this last month, and Kara has put in a document called Copy of ESSER 3 in your drive. And I do have at your table a survey, I hope. ESSER 3 continues to get more and more complicated the more I visit with KSD on it. So the challenge is, we were ready to have you guys adopt our ESSER 3 request last month, and then we found out, you are required to go get stakeholder input. And thus we've come up with this survey, and I don't know if we've totally finalized the survey yet, but we need to send this out to as many different groups as we can. So certainly our teachers and staff will get it. And as you can see, we've tried to identify some things that we already kind of have on the list, And then we've identified what all the categories are on the next page, which will make it a little more complicated, but it gives a chance for some way to say, really what we're hoping for is not the suggestions that maybe don't fit into a category. The one that maybe has come up a time or two is turf on the football field. Is that a COVID-related expense? And so that's why we kind of come up with, well, here's all the guidelines we're bound to. I've heard that too. So we wanted some sort of standard that if they were going to mark an other and give us a suggestion that they could say, well, it kind of fits into this category, we believe. But really what we're doing is just trying to get input. We're going to delay an ESSER 3 application for a while yet. Could be January maybe before we come and ask you guys to finally determine what the actual list will be, and that's in your drive that we had shared last month. But I'm going to say we'd still like to have a lot of those things on there, but we hope by getting some input that will occur. The one thing I would like to ask for action on tonight is premium or incentive pay, and that's been called both of those names. It was premium pay, now they're calling it incentive pay. So really, the idea is retention pay to encourage our staff to stay with us. So that's really how you kind of have to write it in the application for ESSER 3. And so what I'm bringing you tonight is a suggestion or a recommendation that over the course, and we can decide when we do this, we have done some retention pay in December in the past, and that's kind of my first thought is to do a dollar amount of $500 in incentive pay that we would ask you guys to help us deliver in December before Christmas to our employees. Let's be clear, and I wrote you a sample motion. Let's be clear, it's been a challenging time for a lot of people. Our teachers are stressed, our employees are stressed, our bus drivers are stressed, you name it. Everybody's had a more difficult time because of the challenges of COVID, and that's the idea. Because of the challenges that we would like to offer this incentive pay to encourage folks to stay with us. So the question is, are you okay doing one in December, and when would you want to do the second one? I threw out two ideas. One's December and May, and one's maybe this December and next December. Just a matter of how you would want to piece that together. So it would be $500 each time.
I want to make a motion to either one of those ideas.
I like both Decembers.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Do I need to read this one?
Why don't you? I want that to be in the minutes.
Yes. All right. Based on the challenges related to COVID, I have moved to approve the incentive pay to encourage staff members to stay with USD 312 in the amount of $1,000 to be paid in December of 2021 and December of 2022, $500 each time.
Pre-tax.
Pre-tax.
Second. Chris is second. All those in favor? 6-0.
And don't forget, what came with that is you guys giving it out the last week before Christmas break. So I'll be touching base with you. I can tell you that means a lot to our folks to see you guys in that deal, and I think it's really important for you guys to acknowledge the challenges and your appreciation, and I'll be happy to be the one transporting you around and taking you and hoping you'll get that started. So we'll arrange that with you.
Okay, item 8, moving right along. Approval of contracts and work agreements. Looks like we have a couple.
Yeah, listed there below. Good news, a couple of drivers. I wish one of them said bus driver, but they are drivers, and we'll take what we can get. And I'd say really our kind of our biggest shortage right now is bus driver.
Yeah, I mean, they're driving many buses, but we need a CDL driver
Yeah,
for a
well,
big bus.
yeah. My term for bus driver is the big
Yeah,
bus.
the big bus, yeah. Yep, so,
So you see those two, and then you see Dwight Roper, and we discussed that a little bit last time. We'll hire him to assist Jared in the front office. We're calling him an administrative intern.
Okay, is there a motion to accept those contracts and award agreements? Paul, second. Jessica, all in favor, right hand, 6-0. All right. Reports. Yes, we don't have Ken's not here, we don't have an RCEC report. Board member reports. This is a time that the board members go around and say if they have anything going on. So I'll start with Chris.
All good.
Paul. One more meeting.
Can't say.
Jessica.
Real quick, I really liked the Tell Me Something Good. Excited about wrestling. Awesome about Mindy Barter. I've do a lot with the volleyball program, volunteering my time, and she's always there with a smile on her face. Appreciate her. Appreciate all of our employee impact award winners, but just got to experience her on a little different level. And I have to say that I know it was a little bit naysay the test this day, but I will say that I was reluctant, but I am appreciative of that. Got to take advantage of that. It's not my favorite thing in the world, obviously, but I appreciate our district employees. I witnessed something today. I won't be very specific, but I can just tell that our staff are being asked to perform things that they are not normally dealing with, and I saw it in action when I walked into a building, not purposely unannounced, just was taking care of a child issue and happened to be in there signing up for the Thanksgiving meal that I forgot to do, and saw them all doing their best to deal with what was going on in the building, and really saw a different appreciation for that. So appreciate all of you on so many levels. So that's it.
Just welcome aboard to Daniel, and I know Kelly's not here anymore, but thanks to both her and Daniel for their interest in getting on a board, especially at this time when it's been, interesting meetings, so always some excitement. But thank you very much, and look forward to having you.
Appreciate it.
I'll go back. Also, like to thank especially the high school staff going through their transition over there, and everybody's been willing to step up. I think that's really cool. It says a lot about our employees. So, Danelle?
Did you want?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Ken's not here. Who's going to take his place to adjourn?
Oh yeah, he's always there to do that.
Daniel, you want to do that as your first motion?
Adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second? Please. Okay. Jessica, all those in favor? 6-0. Daniel, you got a minute?
Already? You gonna show up next time? Just gonna bow out? Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, darn it. I had to
13th, you're not going to be here? No. You're bowing out early?
Stay early.
We're gonna be going to Mexico for the diner after that.
Where do you guys go?
My wife's 40th.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, nice. You ever gone to East Lawn? East Ferry? You should take a ferry over. If you have chance.
Yes.
Take a ferry over to East Lawn Harry's.
Is that Cozumel or?
But